Forget everything you think you know about Vikings. The horned helmets, a 19th century invention for an opera. The brutish, bloodthirsty barbarians, that's only a tiny, sensationalized piece of a much larger, more fascinating story. For 3 centuries, these Norse seafarers didn't just raid, they explored, traded, settled, and reshaped the world in ways that still echo today. This is the complete, true story of the Vikings. Our journey begins in late 8th century Scandinavia, a land of harsh winters, deep fjords, and scattered communities. Life was tough, resources were scarce, and power was held by local chieftains. For young men with ambition, the options were limited. You could farm the same small plot as your ancestors, or you could look to the sea. The sea was a highway to the unknown, a path to wealth, glory, and a new life. And the Norse had the perfect key to unlock it, the longship. This wasn't just a boat, it was a masterpiece of naval engineering. Sleek, fast, and incredibly versatile, the longship could navigate both the treacherous open ocean and shallow inland rivers. Its symmetrical design meant it could reverse direction without turning around, perfect for quick getaways. With a single sail and rows of oars, it was the ultimate all-terrain vehicle of its time. This ship gave the Norsemen a staggering advantage, allowing them to appear as if from nowhere, strike with lightning speed, and vanish before any real defense could be mounted. The year is 793. Monks on the holy island of Lindisfarne, off the coast of northeast England, are going about their daily prayers. Suddenly, a nightmare materializes from the sea mist. Longships beach on their shores, and fierce warriors leap out, swords and axes in hand. They plunder the monastery's treasures, gold, silver, and holy relics, and then disappear as quickly as they came. This raid on Lindisfarne is traditionally seen as the dawn of the Viking Age. It sent a shockwave of terror across Christian Europe. To the monks who chronicled it, these raiders were a punishment from God, heathens sent to destroy Christendom. And for a while, that's exactly what it looked like. The Viking Age can be split into a few phases. The first was all about these hit-and-run raids. They targeted monasteries because they were isolated, poorly defended, and stuffed with portable wealth. From England and Ireland, they moved on to the coast of France, Spain, and even into the Mediterranean. They sailed up the Seine to besiege Paris, and their reach was so extensive that Vikings from Sweden, known as the Russ, traveled east. They navigated the great rivers of Eastern Europe, establishing trade routes all the way to Byzantium, the modern-day Istanbul, and the Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad. They weren't just raiders here, they were traders, mercenaries, and founders of new states. Like the Kievan Rus, the precursor to modern Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. But raiding was just the beginning. The second phase of the Viking Age was about conquest and settlement. The raiders started to stay. In England, what began as coastal attacks evolved into a full-scale invasion. A massive force, known to the Anglo-Saxons as the Great Heathen Army, arrived in 865. But this wasn't a raiding party, it was an army of occupation. They came to conquer and to farm. Over the next decade, they systematically overran most of the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms until only one, Wessex, under its legendary king, Alfred the Great, remained. After years of brutal warfare, Alfred managed to halt their advance. The treaty that followed divided England, creating a territory under Norse control known as the Danelaw. This wasn't just a border on a map, it was a cultural and legal frontier. Norse language, laws, and customs blended with Anglo-Saxon ones, leaving a permanent mark on the English language itself. Words like sky, leg, window, and even they come from Old Norse. Across the Irish Sea, the story was similar. Vikings founded many of Ireland's major cities, including Dublin, Cork, and Limerick, initially as fortified trading posts. In France, after years of relentless raids, the French King Charles the Simple made a deal with a Viking leader named Rollo. In exchange for converting to Christianity and defending the kingdom from other raiders, Rollo and his men were granted a vast territory. This land became known as Normandy, the land of the Northmen, and these Vikings became the Normans. And just over a century later, in 1066, their descendant, William the Conqueror, would sail back across the Channel and conquer all of England. The Viking circle was complete, but the Vikings' most incredible journeys were westward into the vast, empty expanse of the North Atlantic. Driven by a thirst for new land and a spirit of adventure, Norse explorers pushed the boundaries of the known world. First, they discovered and settled Iceland, a volcanic island of fire and ice. They established a unique society there, governed by a democratic assembly called the Althing, the oldest surviving parliament in the world. From Iceland, a fire-tempered explorer named Eric the Red exiled for manslaughter. sailed further west, chasing rumors of new land. He found a massive island, which he shrewdly named Greenland to attract settlers. It was a marketing trick, but it worked. Norse colonies were established on Greenland's southwestern coast, surviving for nearly 500 years by hunting and farming in a brutally harsh environment. But the story doesn't end there. It was Eric the Red's own son, Leif Erikson, who would take the final, legendary step. Around the year 1000, guided by tales from another sailor who'd been blown off course, Leif set sail from Greenland and landed on the shores of North America nearly 500 years before Christopher Columbus. He and his crew explored the coast, finding a land rich with timber, wild grapes, and salmon. They called it Vinland, the land of wine. They even established a small settlement, a base for exploration and resource gathering. We know this isn't just a myth. In the 1960s, archaeologists unearthed the remains of a Norse settlement at Land's Ox Meadows in Newfoundland, Canada. The houses, the forge, the artifacts, they were undeniably Viking. But the settlement didn't last. Hostile encounters with the indigenous people, whom the Norse called Skrælings, combined with the immense distance from Greenland, made the colony unsustainable. After a few years, they packed up and went home. The Viking dream of a new world in the West was over. So what was Viking society actually like back home? It wasn't just a band of warriors. It was a complex society built on honor, family, and law. Most Norsemen were farmers, craftsmen, and traders, not full-time raiders. Raiding was more like a high-risk, high-reward summer job for ambitious young men. Women in Norse society had a surprising degree of freedom and authority compared to other European cultures of the time. They could own property, inherit land, and divorce their husbands. While the men were off raiding or trading, the women ran the farms and managed the households, holding the keys as a symbol of their authority. Their religion was a rich tapestry of gods, giants, and epic myths. You know the big names: Odin, the All-Father, god of wisdom and war; Thor, his son, the mighty god of thunder with his hammer Mjolnir; and Loki, the cunning trickster god. They believed in a cosmos with 9 realms, all connected by the world tree, Yggdrasil. And for a warrior, the ultimate honor was to die in battle and be carried by the Valkyries to Valhalla, Odin's great hall, to feast and fight until Ragnarok, the final, world-ending battle. So what brought the Viking Age to an end? It wasn't one single event, but a slow transformation. Firstly, the political landscape of Europe changed. Kingdoms became more centralized and organized. They built stone castles, raised professional armies, and learned how to defend themselves. The easy targets were gone. Secondly, the Vikings themselves changed. As they settled in new lands like England and Normandy, they gradually assimilated. They adopted Christianity, intermarried with the local population, and their old Norse identity faded into a new, blended one. The raider became a king. The pagan became a Christian. The end of the Viking Age is often marked by the year 1066. In that single year, the king of Norway, Harald Hardrada, a man often called the last great Viking, invaded England but was defeated and killed at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. Just 3 weeks later, William of Normandy, a descendant of Vikings, invaded and won the Battle of Hastings, claiming the English throne. The age of raiding was over. The age of kingdoms had truly begun. The Vikings may have disappeared, but their legacy is everywhere. It's in our language, in the names of our towns, in our DNA. They were not just destroyers. They were creators, explorers, and connectors. They linked worlds from North America to the Middle East, spreading goods, ideas, and people. They were a force of change, a whirlwind that swept through the old world and left a new one in its wake. So the next time you picture a Viking, don't just see the axe and the horned helmet. See the shipbuilder, the merchant, the farmer, the poet, and the fearless explorer sailing into the unknown. That is the complete, true story of the Vikings. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories that shaped our world. See you next time.